Sam had always admired the bond between his mother and older sister. From his earliest memories, they did everything together and shared an unbreakable closeness. Susie was 17 and the epitome of femininity. Her long blonde hair brushed her shoulders, naturally curling into loose ringlets that danced around her neck. When she got ready for parties or special occasions, a few rollers and a spritz of setting lotion made her curls more defined, bouncing gently as she moved. Even as a young child, Sam admired that beautiful hair. When Susie wanted their mom's attention, she'd lightly shake her head and wonder aloud if she should cut her hair short or keep it as is. Their mom would instantly protest, insisting that if Susie ever trimmed those lovely curls, she'd have to move out. Then the two would embrace in a warm, lingering hug. Sam longed deeply for a hug like that. He had started growing his own hair out now that school was out for the summer, but it barely reached 6 inches, too short, he thought, to style into anything as beautiful. Deep down, he felt he could never be embraced the same way, no matter what he did. Since he was 3, Sam had quietly questioned what it might feel like to experience life as a girl. Their mom worked tirelessly to support the family, especially after their father chose to walk away from his responsibilities. He called himself an artist, though his work rarely brought in money. His priorities seemed more focused on chasing attention than building a stable home. One day, their mom was stunned to find one of his paintings hanging in a coworker's den. When she asked about it, the truth came out, and with it, the end of the marriage. What followed was a difficult, painful separation and an even harder road to recovery. After the divorce, Sam's mom didn't get a cash settlement, but she kept the house and all of Sam's father's early paintings. For a while, things were tight, but manageable. Then, one day, an art dealer from the Midwest reached out. Apparently, one of Sam's dad's old acquaintances had taken an interest in his early work. She made a surprising offer to buy every painting Mom still owned, for a price that changed their lives. Within days, a truck arrived, a certified check in hand, and just like that, their quiet little home felt a little more secure. They weren't rich, but they no longer had to worry about bills. Still, Sam couldn't help but notice how close Mom and Susie were, like they shared a secret language. They laughed at inside jokes, shared whispered conversations, and always seemed to have each other's attention in a way that made Sam feel like a visitor in his own home. He tried to join in, offering to help with chores or tagging along on errands, but it never quite clicked. Then one afternoon, after hearing a passing comment about syncing up, Sam realized there were simply some experiences the two shared that he could never fully understand. It wasn't just about being mother and daughter, it was something more deeply bonded. Still, that didn't stop his curiosity. He often wondered what it might feel like to be part of that world, not out of mischief, but from a longing to feel included, seen, and emotionally connected. He found himself quietly observing the small things, the way they got ready for special occasions, how they supported each other after a rough day, and the subtle rituals that seemed to draw them closer. For Sam, it wasn't about pretending to be someone he wasn't. It was about wanting to feel that same sense of belonging and closeness. That kind of emotional connection was something he craved deeply, even if he didn't yet have the words to explain why. Sam had always known there was something different about the way he saw the world, especially compared to the way his mom and older sister, Susie, seemed to glide through it with such certainty. Their connection was deep and almost unspoken, built on shared experiences, late-night talks, and small moments of affection that Sam could never quite replicate. He tried, of course. He'd help with chores, offer to brush the dog, clean the dishes, anything that might invite him into their world. But no matter what he did, he always felt like he was knocking on a door that was never fully open to him. One summer afternoon, Sam was folding laundry in the basement. A dull, repetitive task, until his eyes landed on something soft and pastel, something delicate and obviously not his. It wasn't about the item itself, it was what it represented. intimacy, femininity, and the quiet comfort of being fully seen in one's identity. In that moment, it wasn't about mischief or rebellion. It was about wanting to understand. Without thinking, he held the fabric for just a second longer than necessary, and in that pause, he imagined what it might be like to be part of that world. To be embraced by it instead of standing on the outside. He didn't hear the footsteps. He didn't realize the basement door had opened. "Sam," came his mother's voice, sharp, not angry, but surprised. He spun around. She was at the top of the stairs. Susie stood just behind her, wide-eyed. The silence was crushing. I was just," Sam's voice cracked as his face turned red with shame. The words got caught somewhere between apology and fear. Mom didn't yell. She didn't ask questions. She just said, "Please bring that upstairs. We need to talk." Up in her bedroom, she sat on the edge of the bed in her usual evening robe, not glamorous, just simple and soft, like the ones she always wore when folding laundry or brushing her hair. Sam stood awkwardly at the doorway, not sure if he was about to be grounded or laughed at. But her voice was different now. Gentle. "Sam, you don't have to be afraid," she said. "But I do need to understand." He couldn't meet her eyes. "I don't know why I did it. I guess I just wanted to know what it felt like. Not the clothes, just being seen like you see Susie." That cracked something open. For both of them. "I know I haven't made it easy," his mother said, her voice thick. "Your sister and we've shared things you weren't part of. But not because we didn't love you. I think I just didn't realize how much you were needing something more." Sam nodded, his throat tight. He had no idea how to ask for what he needed. For years, he'd buried that longing under layers of jokes, silence, and secret thoughts. "Listen," she said, reaching out for his hand. "Whoever you are, whoever you're becoming, I want to be someone you can come to. I can't promise I'll always understand right away, but I will try." That night didn't solve everything. There were still awkward moments, still questions neither of them had answers to. But for the first time, Sam felt like the door wasn't shut. Like maybe he wasn't knocking anymore. Maybe he was finally being invited in. Mom sat on the edge of her bed, her expression somewhere between concern and guilt. She patted the space next to her. "Sam, what were you doing when Susie and I walked in?" she asked softly. "You know I've always told you. You can talk to me about anything." Sam stood frozen in the doorway. His voice trembled. "I don't really know. I guess. I just felt left out." His mother tilted her head, listening, not judging. "You and Susie, you're always so close. You laugh, you help each other with everything. I know I'm not supposed to care about that stuff. But it hurts. It feels like I lost both parents when Dad left. Like you forgot about me too." The words cracked open something inside him. His shoulders shook as the tears came. First slow, then faster. Raw and unfiltered. "I just wanted to feel like I mattered to someone, like you'd see me the way you see her." Mom's eyes welled up. She opened her arms, and without thinking, Sam walked into the embrace. She held him tightly, like she hadn't in years. "I'm sorry, Sam," she whispered. "You're right. I've been so wrapped up trying to keep things together, I didn't realize I was letting you slip through the cracks." He said nothing, just clung to her like the little boy who'd once needed comfort and never quite stopped. After a while, she gently pulled back and looked him in the eyes. "Thank you for telling me how you feel. It takes a lot of strength to speak up. Let's find ways to reconnect, to make space for you too. Not just as my son, but as someone who deserves to feel seen and heard." That was the moment everything began to change, not with big promises, but with one quiet truth finally spoken aloud. Sam had learned early on that silence was safer than questions. His mother and sister moved through the world like they were tuned into a frequency he couldn't quite hear. They were radiant in their togetherness, the laughter in the kitchen, the whispered conversations on the couch, the way they instinctively knew when the other needed a hug or a hair tie or just a moment. It wasn't that they didn't love him. It was that they didn't quite see him. His father had left 3 years ago, not with a bang, but with a tired sigh and a box of paintings he no longer cared to finish. After that, the house had become quieter, but not gentler. His mother had filled the void with work, her energy absorbed by paying bills, keeping food on the table, and making sure his sister, Susie, had everything she needed to succeed. Sam didn't ask for much. He got good grades, stayed out of trouble, and didn't mind being alone. But being quiet didn't mean he didn't feel. He watched the way Susie lit up when their mother brushed out her curls, when they left for the salon together, when they curled up to share phone videos and giggles. Sam pretended not to notice, but it stung. Not the beauty or the makeup or even the moments. It was the closeness. The fact that their emotional lives overlapped like echoes in the same room, while he drifted, unheard, behind a wall. The drawer was ordinary. A simple oak piece at the end of the hallway, one of those places you walked past 100 times and never gave a second thought. But one day, while helping with laundry, Sam found himself pausing at it. Inside were old scarves, forgotten notebooks, half-used makeup compacts, and something else, a photo strip of his mom and Susie, both laughing so hard their eyes were squeezed shut. The kind of laughter that you couldn't fake. The kind that said, "We belong to each other." Sam held the photo in his hand like a relic. Not because he envied the clothes or the curls or the glitter, but because he wanted someone to laugh like that with him. To see him. He tucked the photo back into the drawer, closed it softly, and that night, he cried into his pillow with a kind of ache that had no name. One evening, as Sam was cleaning up the dishes, his mom looked over at him longer than usual. There was a softness to her eyes that hadn't been there before. "You okay, kiddo?" she asked. He wanted to say yes. He almost did. But something stopped him. "Do you think I'm strange?" he asked instead. She blinked. "Strange how?" "I don't know. Different. Not like other guys." There was a long pause. His mother set the dish rag down. "Sam," she said, carefully, "are you trying to tell me something?" He shrugged, eyes down. "I just feel like I don't belong anywhere sometimes. Not at school. Not here." His mom walked around the kitchen island and pulled out a chair. "Sit with me," she said. He did. "You're not strange," she said gently. "You're searching. And there's nothing wrong with that. You've always had a deep heart. That's not something to be ashamed of." Sam swallowed a lump in his throat. "I just wish I knew where I fit," he whispered. His mom nodded. "So do most people. Even me, sometimes." In the weeks that followed, things didn't magically change. There were still awkward silences, still moments where Sam wanted to shut his door and shut the world out. But there were also new moments. A shared coffee on the porch, an unexpected invitation to tag along on a salon run just to keep us company. A Saturday afternoon where his mom handed him a journal and said, "Write what you're thinking if you ever can't say it out loud." They were small things, but real. The space between Sam and the world began to narrow, not because he changed to fit in, but because the people around him started reaching out to meet him where he was. Sam lived in a quiet house on the edge of a quiet town, a place where neighbors waved from porches and the days rolled by in slow, predictable rhythms. Since his father left 2 years ago, the house had become smaller in some ways, quieter in others. His mother, once full of jokes and weekend pancakes, now worked long shifts at the clinic, often returning with dark circles under her eyes and barely enough energy to ask about homework. His older sister, Jamie, had a tribe of friends, a shelf of trophies, and a laugh that rang through the halls like wind chimes. She belonged to the world in a way Sam never quite had. He didn't resent her. Not really. But sometimes, late at night, he would sit in bed staring at the ceiling and whisper to the dark, "I wish someone saw me." Because that was the part that hurt, the invisibility. One Friday afternoon, Mom came home early, which almost never happened. She was still in her scrubs, hair messy, eyes tired, but her smile was real. "I have a crazy idea," she said. Sam looked up from his butterfly field guide. Okay, how about we both go get haircuts tomorrow? Something fresh for summer. Sam's stomach twisted. He didn't mind the idea of a haircut. He just wasn't sure what kind of haircut he wanted. He'd let his hair grow out over the school year, and now it brushed the tops of his cheeks. He liked how it softened his face, how it felt in the breeze. But saying that out loud, that felt risky. Still, he nodded. Sure. The next morning, they walked into a local salon that smelled like lavender and clean towels. It was full of chatter, women flipping through magazines, girls giggling as they waited for their turn. Sam and I want something new today, his mom said to the stylist. He's open to trying something a little longer. Sam's cheeks burned, but then the stylist, a woman named Renee, smiled and said, "Great bone structure. Let's frame that face a little, yeah." He sat down. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like someone wasn't trying to make him into something he wasn't. That summer, Jamie left for a 2-week leadership camp. The house became still again, but not in a lonely way. In a different way. Mom started making real dinners again. They watched old movies and stayed up too late. One afternoon, while folding laundry, Sam found himself staring at a yellow sundress Jamie had left on her desk chair. He reached out and touched the fabric. Soft, breezy, beautiful. "Try it," his mom said from the doorway. Sam froze. "I used to sneak into my older sister's closet when I was your age," she added, her voice light. "Clothes are just fabric, Sam. But how they make us feel, that's the important part." So he did. He slipped it over his head, and for a second, he didn't feel like a stranger in his skin. He didn't feel confused or ashamed. He felt calm. His mom didn't say anything. She just handed him a mirror. He smiled at his reflection. Not because he looked like someone else, but because he looked a little more like himself. That night, as they sat on the porch watching fireflies blink in the tall grass, his mom reached over and took his hand. "Sam," she said, "you don't have to explain anything to me. But I want you to know. I see you. And whoever you grow into, I'm already proud." He didn't respond right away. The tears that formed surprised him. "Thanks, Mom," he whispered. "I'm still figuring it out. You have time. Just promise me one thing." "What?" "Don't let the world tell you who you're supposed to be. Let your heart do that." "Anything?" Sam asked, eyes wide. His mom nodded with a warm smile. "Yes. While it's just us, I want you to feel free. Wear what makes you happy." Sam wasn't sure what to say. He felt nervous, but also excited. "I picked out a clean pair of jeans and a white pullover," she said. "They're from your sister's closet. Just something nice for our salon trip tomorrow." Sam nodded slowly. She continued, "On your bed, I left something soft. It's a nightgown I bought years ago but never wore. It's yours for tonight if you'd like." Sam didn't know how to respond. No one had ever offered him that kind of freedom before. "It's okay if you're unsure," his mom said. "This is our time. Just you and me. No judgment. No pressure. I just want you to feel like you." That night, Sam stood in front of his mirror. He touched the soft fabric on the bed. Then, slowly, he smiled. He didn't feel strange. He felt seen. And in that quiet moment, something inside him settled. He didn't have to pretend. He didn't have to hide. He was enough. Sam sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the clothes his mom had laid out. A soft blouse, some clean jeans, and tucked gently on top, a nightgown. It wasn't flashy, just soft, comforting. He hesitated. Then slowly, carefully, he changed into them. Not because he wanted to be someone else, but because for once, he wanted to feel like himself. There was a knock on the door. "Can I come in, Sammy?" his mom asked. That name. She had never called him that before. It landed gently, not like a joke, not like a mistake, but like a name finally spoken out loud for the first time. She entered, saw him in the clothes, and smiled. "I thought you might feel more comfortable like this," she said. "And I wanted you to know it's okay. You're safe here."